still left some people off my list.
Indeed, we live now. Good
Okay.
evening. Good evening. How you guys doing tonight? It's Mike and JJ back with Soberheadz podcast. Tonight we go to step 8. Step 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. That's when we take
Let
the
me
pen
read my.
back to paper, man. What you got? What you got for that, bro?
All right,
Step 8.
so we done did 100 podcasts in the last year and a half, and tonight's the first night. Tonight, the first night you call me JJ. I just want you to know that, brother.
My bad, brother. My bad, brother.
All right,
Brother
man.
John.
All right, man. Let's get it right. So,
All right, my brother John, man.
but
Well,
no, making a list, man. You know, like I said, every day, I live my life by making amends. You know, every day. So, my list continues. When making a list, sometimes we may forget somebody, leave them off. So, like I said, I just pray to God and I ask God for, forgiveness. I've reached out to the people and, I just take it from there.
how hard was it actually coming up with the list and making the list? Like, what was that process like?
I mean, once I started writing down the names and I was like on page 1, and then I got to like page 7. I said, this a lot of people, man. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
You want to clean slate, clean out your closet, and it's like, whoa, man.
Yeah. All right, so
How
we could
about
get
you?
at the list. With me, it was like we went back to step 4, man, my sponsor, and first we went over the people I harmed. Then we went over I wrote down a list off of them. Mostly all of them had to be on there. Then we went over the resentment list, and I had to add some people from the resentment list on there too, because it was people I had to put my part that I played in the resentments.
Mm-hmm.
So it was people that I had big resentments to that I ended up having to make amends to.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because I played a part in the relationship that caused the resentment. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So then we went to the sex relations, and then that was very like delicate in terms of deciding who to make the amends to, because you don't want to ignite a flame, especially if you married at the time and things of that nature, to ignite a flame that could come back and like mess with your relationship, your current relationship. So that's the one we had to really take our time, and then that became a lot of living amends in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like just changing your behavior, going to God and promising never to practice that behavior again, because you don't want to open Pandora's box or piss somebody off that, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, and then they retaliate, and now your current relationship could be in some trouble. So that was the one that we really had to take our time and go over. You know what I
Definitely.
mean? Like picking the people. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? Picking the people that we was gonna do it with. You know what I'm saying? So that was my process with it. But making a list is very important, man. And that's why that step 4 inventory is important, because that's where you're gonna go back and get the list from.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we get started with the reading. It says step 8 and 9 are concerned with personal relations. First, we take a look backward and try to discover where we have been at fault. Next, we make a vigorous attempt to repair the damage we had done. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, and with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. Ooh. Mm. This is, this is, hold up. I messed it, went down too far. This is a very large order. It is a task which we may perform in increasing skill, but we really never finish. Learning how to live in the greatest peace, partnership, and brotherhood with all men and women of whatever description is moving and fascinating adventure. Every AA has found that he can make little headway in the new adventure of living until he first backtracks and makes an accurate and unsparing survey of the human wreckage he has left in his wake.
Mm-hmm.
To a degree, he has already done this when taking a more inventory. But now the time has come when he ought to redouble his efforts to see how many people he has hurt and in what ways. The reopening of emotional wounds, some old, some perhaps forgotten, and some still painfully festering. Hold on. This thing is
That's
like,
right.
I know. Hold on. I went down too far. Painfully festering. Will they look? Will they first look at a purposeless and pointless piece of surgery? But if you if a willing start is made, then jeez, this one ain't getting hard. A great adventure of great advantages of doing this will so quickly reveal themselves that the pain would be lessened and one obstacle after another melts away. Wow, you said something about that in the beginning about like we never really stop, like be able to
Yeah.
conquer this, man. You know what I mean? So when
I
I
don't
see
think
this, go ahead,
uh,
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. You
I
could
don't really
go at
think
it
you can
first.
never truly make amends, like completely make amends with, everybody that you did wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like we
mm,
just, like I said, I knew when I started doing my list, I thought it was over. I always was like,
mm-hmm,
oh yeah, I
mm-hmm,
forgot about such and such. You know what I mean? Like,
mm,
so it's
mm,
just like I don't think nobody can really make a complete list of
mm-hmm,
everybody they did wrong. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
Like,
mm-hmm,
because we
mm-hmm,
gotta think at some point when we was drinking, we don't even remember half of the things we were doing. So how could we remember what we did, to that particular person, while we were under the influence of alcohol? You know what I'm saying?
For the most part with me, I ain't gonna even lie. Like I definitely remember the stuff I was doing, and that made me want to. No, that made me want to do it more because
Hmm.
I remember how much fun I had the night before. So that made me want to do it more. Like I never experienced like a blackout before. So I was like, I mean, I don't know how I would have felt if I would have experienced that. Like not really remembering what
So it's
happened.
not a pleasant feeling. Man.
Yeah, I heard about that. Like I never experienced that. And that made me really question one time whether I was alcoholic or not until I heard somebody in the meeting talk about that before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But um so I really like in terms of that, making that list, man, was like for me, I had to really dig back. But like you said, I be remembering I had to call people from elementary and middle school, bro.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Like you know what I'm
you
saying?
still
Like
trying to
I
find
had
a.
to, man.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I had to call people all the way back then to make amends to them, bro. So I understand exactly what you're saying. You know what I mean? So you want to pick up reading?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
The obstacles, however, are very real. The first and one of the most difficult has to do with forgiveness. The
Mm,
moment we ponder a twisted or broken relationship with another person, our emotions go on the defensive. To escape
mm-hmm.
looking at the wrongs we have done another, we resentfully focus on the wrong we have, the wrong he has done us. This is
Mm,
especially true if he has in fact behaved badly at all.
mm,
Triumphantly, we seize upon his behavior as the perfect excuse for minimizing or forgetting our own.
mm-hmm.
Right here, we need to fetch ourselves up sharply. It doesn't make much sense when a real toss pot calls a kettle black. Let's remember
Mm-hmm.
that alcoholics are not the only ones be evil by sickness emotions. Moreover, it is usually a fact that our behavior when drinking has aggravated the defects of others. We've
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly strained the patience of our best friends to a snapping point and have brought out the very worst in those who didn't think much of us to begin with. Whew.
Mm,
In many instances, we are really dealing with fellow sufferers, people whose woes we have increased. If we are now about to ask for forgiveness for ourselves, why shouldn't we start out by forgiving them, one and all?
mm. Well, what you got for that?
I mean, go back to the forgiveness part. You know what I mean? Like, I like the part
Mm-hmm.
when it says, like while we was drinking with people, we didn't realize that they were suffering as well. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying?
mm,
So it's like, you would have that drinking partner. You know what I'm saying? Like you just going out, you thinking that you drinking. to defeat your problems, not realizing that the person that you drinking with got the same type of problems or even worse. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, what else did it say? It's like calling the kettle black. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
always
Mm-hmm.
tell people,
Mm-hmm.
I can't call you an alcoholic if I'm sitting right next to you and you drinking as much as me. You know what I mean? Like what I look like. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
just the feeling of thinking that you had control of the situation when you really didn't have control over the situation. You know what I mean? Like I know one of the craziest things that I would do, I probably would say that we did is, we drove maybe an hour or 2 hours sometimes to meet up to drink. And then
Yeah.
we drove those same 2 hours, back. You know what I mean? By the grace of God, we never got into a car accident or wrecked.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like when
Mm-hmm.
we think about the forgiveness and the grace of God, I just thank God for like never allowing me to be into a car accident, especially like
Mm.
after a blackout. You know what I mean? Like I had two
Mm.
blackout experiences and I was in the car both times I blacked out. You know what I mean? So that was,
Mm.
definitely like only God's grace. You know what I mean? I remember I blacked out at a stoplight. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And I woke up and it was like a police officer right on top of me. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that I didn't
Wow.
get a DWI or anything else was like nothing but God. You know what I mean? So
Wow. All praises that you ain't, because I heard stories like that, man. I heard
yeah,
stories where a person blacked out in Philadelphia and they came out. They was in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina when they came out
oh
of
yeah,
the blackout. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I didn't heard some stories, man.
oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Black,
that's how it
no,
happens. I heard about it, man. With me, man, I got two serious instances where like I had to make serious amends. I had to forgive though, man. Like one of them was, with my father, and he comfortable with me talking about this. Like we had a rough relationship when he wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? And I had a bitterness towards him, and
mm-hmm,
but when it came down to that trial, he was there for that trial, and he was there for me when I went through rehab. So that started to repair our relationship. But when I did my inventory and I had him at the top of my resentment list, and I was doing it with my sponsor was like, well, during step 4, he was like, well, what did he do? What did you do before, during, and after to make the situation worse? And I said, well, when I was in my 30s, he tried to get in my life and I kept giving him a hard time. You know what I mean? So not only did I have to forgive him, and
mm-hmm,
it was easy for me to forgive him because I saw my step 4 and I saw how terrible I was. So I can't point the finger at him about his behavior, and my behavior was atrocious. And I wanted
yeah,
God to forgive me. And not only
mm-hmm,
did I have to forgive him, I had to make amends to him.
oh
You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? For when he tried to get in my life. So you know how
yeah,
humbling that was to call somebody that put you through that, and you got to make amends to him first. You know what I'm saying? And the second one was somebody stole some money from me. You know what I mean? And it was over a course of time. And I really had trusted that person, this and this and blah, blah, blah. So but when my sponsor asked me the same question, I had to admit that I told other people about it, that
yeah,
he stole money. So when I made amends to him and told him that I was wrong for telling people that, he was like shocked that he stole from me, but I was able to do that. You know what I mean? And that's what this program does. It helps you find your fault in a situation.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? Recently, right? I had to make one the other day. I was out I was out doing some ministry work, and me and my wife, and we ran into some people from the church I used to go to. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
And it was awkward at first when we came around the corner. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
And then they was in my hometown, Trenton. So we went down there. Me and my wife go down there Sundays and do some ministry work and stuff. So um and when at first I went around the corner, and then I was gonna go somewhere else. Then my wife was like, "Nah, these people in your home city, they've been waiting for you." So I go
mm-hmm,
back around the block. When I go back around the block, most of the people had left except one couple, and that couple stayed, and they talked to me and my wife. But when the brother came to shake my hand, I didn't give him the proper kind of greeting because it was my first time actually seeing one of them in person since I was
mm-hmm,
gone. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
And it bothered me. It
yeah,
bothered me for days, and I had to call him and just tell him that, you know what I mean? Like, I apologize for having that distant kind of greeting, regardless of what happened. I'm not supposed to operate like that. But and I credit that to the Holy Spirit, and I credit it to this program of teaching us to, like, that was step 10, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, as soon as I do something wrong, you got to try to correct it, or you're gonna grieve inside of you. That Holy Spirit gonna grieve you. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm glad to be into the Most High and be in a program like this. You know what I mean? All right. So it says,
go ahead. Some advice for that situation that you went through, right? So, regardless of what congregation or what body of Christ you're in, you know what I mean? Who you are is who you are. So, what you brought to that church when you was in that church, or with those brothers, you the same brother that you are today. You know what I'm saying? So, like, your spirit didn't change when you left the church. Your faith and your beliefs didn't.
At all.
No. So, like, who you are is, we can't let other people affect who we are. You know what I'm saying? Then this goes back to, like, making amends as well, because once we make amends, we got to be willing to really forgive people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember one of the first things I said to myself, I don't know how to fix the problems that I'm having with these people that I got to make amends with. You know what I'm saying? But I also said I'm willing to try. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you recognize, like, yo, this ain't who I am. This ain't nobody but the devil trying to get in my spirit. You know what I'm saying? So let me reach out to this person. You know what I'm saying? And it's probably shocking to them because, at the end of the day, we can't run from what we called to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact is, you got to realize it like this: it was a blessing in disguise. You ran to your purpose. You know what I mean? You got some food over there. You know what I'm saying? God called you to another restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's all I got.
Indeed, it says, when listening to people we have harmed, most of us hit another solid obstacle. We get a pretty severe shock when we realize we are preparing to make a face-to-face admission out of wretched conduct to those we had hurt. It has been embarrassing enough when, in confidence, we had admitted to these things to God, to ourselves, and another human being. Hold on, let me go down. Hold up.
What you got yours on the screen?
Yeah, but it's not like, I got the bottom thing now. Let me see. All right, so I think I should be good now. All right. Hold up. All right. And another human being. Hold up. It says, when listening to people we have harmed, most of us hit another solid obstacle. We got a pretty severe shock when we realized we were preparing to make a face-to-face admission out of wretched conduct to those we hurt. It had been embarrassing enough when, in confidence, we had admitted these things to God, to ourselves, and another human being. This thing just bugging tonight. But the prospect of actually visiting or even writing a person concerned now overwhelmed us, especially when we remember what poor favor we stood with most of them. There were cases, too, where we had damaged others who were still happily unaware of being hurt. Whew. When we cried, shouldn't bygones be bygones? Why do we have to think of these people at all? These were some of the ways in which fear conspired with pride to hinder our making a list of all the people we had harmed. Some of us, though, tripped over a different snag. We clung to the claim that when drinking, we never hurt anybody but ourselves. Our families didn't suffer because we didn't. We always paid the bills and seldom drank at home. Our business associates didn't suffer because we usually was on a job. Our reputations hadn't suffered because we were certain few knew of our drinking. Those who did would sometimes assure us that after all, a lively bender was only a good man's fault. What real harm, therefore, had we done? No more, surely, than we could easily mend with a few casual apologies. See, this wasn't the case with me. When I got to this point, I was so willing. I had too many people on my list that my sponsor was like, "Nah, we gotta cut some of this off, man." Like I was so, I had went through so much.
You going back to the 5-year-old feud with the
I did. I was going hard because I felt once I had that spiritual awakening after step 5, I was like, I got so much making up to do now. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I had went like my list was heavy, man, and I was willing to do whatever it took to be
Yeah.
able to like get right with everybody, which kind of made it weird because now you went away as one person to this rehab and you went there for all these days, this and that, and you come out, now you on another extreme.
Yeah.
Like, and it seems like overnight. So now you coming out and you talking about God and you apologizing to people and this and this and blah blah blah. And some people be like, people not used to that.
Yeah.
Like people not used to that, man. I remember when I was one time in the church I was just in, I had blew up the Bible study one time. Like they had, I felt somebody was talking about me, so they asked questions and I went at it. You know how I could get sometimes, you know what I mean? So but I didn't follow the proper channels that the Bible says. So, the next week I apologized to the people I affected, and then I apologized to the people in person. But a couple of people in there, a couple of the brothers in there asked me like, how was you able to do that so easy? And it's because like that's what we have to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's being in this, but I understood that. Yeah, but I understood that. So a lot of people are not used to apologizing, and a lot of people are not used to accepting apologies. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems so strange at times. You know what I mean? But I ain't really have no problem with trying not to. I heard about people like thinking about step 9 while they doing step 8, so they keep people off the list. And I didn't have that kind of problem. I was willing to do. I had already faced the bottom, so I was willing to make amends to anybody. What about you on that?
I mean, I go back to that sentence where it says there were cases too where we had damaged others who were still happily unaware of being hurt. You know what I'm saying? So I think about all the people that I was drinking with, or I might have did something with, and I'm sitting there like, they happy, I'm happy at the time, but not realizing that we doing harm to each other. You know what I'm saying? Whether I'm being a bad example, as a husband or a father or a coach or a teacher or a mentor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember at one point just being at an AU tournament, and we went out to like Applebee's, and I'm sitting there like, wait a second, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the parents and the coaches are at the bar drinking, and the kids are sitting off to the side. Even though you think you're not doing no harm because they not drinking, I look at the percentages of those kids who saw me drinking who are now, alcoholics. You know what I mean?
That's deep.
So
Man.
like,
That's deep. Man.
just we always say kids mimic what they see. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's deep.
and then we talk about, I mean, I'm just going to do it in basketball terminology. We always talk about getting reps, and what I mean, and good reps. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think about some of the repetitions that some young kids had to see me doing the wrong thing. You know what I mean? So like, and now I'm so glad that like I said, I can make amends with that, and now they see me doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, my sobriety is so important to me. Like I said, sometimes I just have to walk away from people, places, and things. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing that they tell you to keep sober. You got to watch people, places, and things. You know what I mean? So that's what I got for that.
I'm gonna add something to it before we move on. Some of the shocking amends I had to make was like going to a few of my boys and apologizing them for taking them on those trips, introducing them to that fornication lifestyle in other countries and this and that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like those party trips and all that kind of stuff. And most of them was like, man, I was gonna do, like, I'm grown, but I still had to clean my side of the street because I knew that, you know what I'm saying, that I had introduced them to those kind of places and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that was some of the amends I had to make right there.
They still scared to come taste and see the other side, though.
You know what I mean? So go ahead, pick up. It says this attitude.
This attitude, of course, is the end result of purposeful forgetting. It is an attitude which can only be changed by a deep and honest search of our motives and action. Though in some cases we cannot make restitution at all, in some cases actions ought to be deferred, we should nevertheless make an accurate and real exhaustive survey of our past life as it has affected other people. In many instances, we shall find that through the harm done, others have not been great. The emotional harm we have done ourselves has. Very
Mm,
deep, sometimes quite forgotten, damaging emotional conflicts persist below the level of consciousness. At the
mm,
time of these occurrences, they may have actually have given our emotions violence twists, which have since discolored our personalities and altered our lives for the worse.
mm,
While the purpose of making restitution to others is paramount, it is equally necessary that we exaggerate from an examination of our personal relations every bit of information about ourselves and our fundamental difficulties that we can. Some defective relations with our human beings have nearly always been the intimate cause, the immediate cause of our woes, including our alcoholism. No
mm,
field of investigation could yield more satisfying and valuable rewards than this. One, calm, thoughtful reflection upon personal relations can deepen our insight. We can go far beyond those things which were superficially wrong with us to see those flaws which were basic flaws which sometimes were responsible for what the whole pattern of our lives. Thoroughness we have found, we pay and pay handsomely.
mm. What you got for that, bro?
I mean, the making purpose what while the purpose of making restitution to others is paramount, is it equally necessary that we extravagate from an examination of our personal relations every bit. Man, whew, that one right there is real deep because like I said, you think about the people that you really hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
I could say now at 50, with my oldest child being 32, and my youngest child being 18, like to say that they haven't seen me sober but half of their life is
Mm,
crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because I think
mm,
about the times when I was there but I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like I would show
mm,
up, but was I really showing up? You know what I mean? Like how
mhm,
many times
mhm,
did I show up to events? Whether I was twisted or what I mean, like couldn't wait to get out of there so I could drink, or sometimes just carrying a drink with me and having a drink while I was there. You know what I'm saying? So
mm,
like, you
mm,
know, I hide I hid the fact that I was an alcoholic. You know what I mean? Because nothing really changed about my behavior. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Uh,
mhm,
I wasn't doing anything crazy. Almost to the point where I didn't even think that I had a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because no one ever said, "Hey man, you drink too much." You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Like,
mhm, mhm,
so, like I said, when somebody finally told me that I drink too much, that probably was one of the first people that I made amends with. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, the
mhm,
hardest thing is to hear that you're an alcoholic from somebody that's drinking just as much as you. So, like
yeah.
I said, that's what I got for that right there, man.
My problem was um being codependent is hard to have acceptance. And that's how I used to ruin a lot of relationships because I was super codependent on wanting
Hmm.
people around me, you know what I mean? And but with that comes acceptance. You gotta accept that people different. You gotta accept that people not gonna go as hard for you as you would go for them. And that's where I used to get hurt a lot. And that's where I used to carry a grudge a lot. That's where like
Mhm.
because I had no understanding of acceptance. You know what I'm saying? Like no understanding of it. Like one of the toughest things that hurt me was when I had to testify, and that was the scariest time of my life when I had to get on that stand and talk about finding my wife and go through the cross examination and this and that. And none of my friends was in the crowd there with me. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But I was hurt at the time, but I had to learn acceptance. I had to learn that everybody was different. And that was a hard thing for me, man, because like when I lock in with friends, I lock in with them. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And I give people the shirt off my back, whatever you need at the drop of a dime if I got it. But I had to learn the hard way that everybody not like that. So when you learning that
Mhm.
and you get hurt, you know what I'm saying? But it was the my counselor at rehab that really pulled my tail, pulled my coattail and told me like, yo, your problem is you codependent. Like she was like, when all y'all go out and eat, you don't have to pay for it. Everybody's
That's
grown
crazy.
people. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
She was like, if they've gone to get drinks, you don't gotta buy the drinks. You don't gotta supply everybody with everything. If somebody loan you money, if you loan somebody money, it's okay to ask for your money back. Like you, like, like if people don't like you for you, then don't worry about it. And then I came home with a new kind of attitude because like especially when you drinking, it's different kind of alcoholics that I seen. You got the alcoholics
Yeah.
that when they drinking, they be stingy and they want to keep everything to themselves. But I was the opposite kind of like I'm gonna treat everybody to this, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that. You get what I'm saying? I was one of
Oh,
them
yeah.
kind. You know what I mean? So, but that made me keep some grudges inside. That made me like mess up relationships because I
Damn, I
expected
need
you
to
to
start.
act because I
Come on.
expected you to act like I was acting, and that's not everybody. You know what I'm saying? Most people not gonna treat you like you treat them. You know what I mean? That's just an actual fact. So that's what I got for that joint right there about the relationships.
Let me ask you a question, right? So,
Go ahead.
you talked about codependency, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think you ever slip into codependency when it comes to helping people with, recovery or to coming to the truth?
Um, nah, not in terms of like I think it's a little different because I look at it like we all coming out of a world and we
Hmm.
all need to lock in to help each other stay where we at. So it's a little different thing because it's like we all walking down that plank going straight, and we
Hmm.
got fire on one side and we got sharks and stuff in the water on the other side, and we got lock arms so we could get down the whole end of the plank. You get what I'm
Okay.
saying? So it's
Oh, yeah.
totally different than what I was doing before. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like and I thought that like making sure that everybody had a good time all the time would get me some loyalty. And that's a
Yeah.
stupid way to think. Because most of the times you're just gonna get used. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And I ain't saying that all the people that was around me was like that, because that's not true. I got some dope friends that still was that still I rock with heavy today. But I
Hmm.
also got some that was just along for the ride. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you could tell once everything is over with, everything changes. And
Yeah.
I ain't mad at nobody because I ain't gonna say I didn't enjoy the experience, because I did,
Mhm.
but it was a learning experience. And now I understand that um once you come into this and you start following God, he's gonna take those out of your life that don't need to be there anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
So he's gonna eliminate them for me. So that's what I got with that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It says we might next ask ourselves what we mean when we say that we have harmed other people. What kinds of harms do people do another anyway? To define what harm in a practical way, we might call it the result of instincts and collision, which cause physical, mental, and emotional, spiritual damage to people. If our tempers are constantly bad, we arouse anger in others. If we lie or cheat, we deprive others not only of those worldly goods, but their emotional security and peace of mind. We really
Mhm.
issue them an invitation to become contemptuous and vengeful. If our sex conduct is selfish, we may excite jealousy, misery, and strong desire to retaliate in kind. Ooh, definitely got something on that one, man. I
Well,
did
stop right there.
everything above.
Let's get it in. You know what I
I,
mean?
I did everything above, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
anger, sex conduct being selfish,
Mm-hmm.
um, cheated, lied. You know what I mean? All of those things that's on there was I was guilty of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it all comes down to fear and being insecure.
Oh yeah.
So I understand that. You know what I mean? Like, so being insecure and having fear, that's what make you think that you gotta have 4 or 5 women anyway. Because
Mm-hmm.
because you're so scared to trust that one that you're gonna get hurt, that you end up having wanting to have another one and another one just in case if you get hurt, you already was doing your thing anyway. You know what I mean? So the trust factor ain't there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Then it goes back to growing up with issues with your mom, with my mom, and things of that nature, and just not having that trust and stuff like that, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a blessing being able to do this kind of work, to work that kind of stuff out. You know what I mean? And really, really look at my life and really, really say, all right, this is where I need to change at. That's why that inventory is so important, man.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah, what you got on that?
I mean, sometimes when you lie so much, you start to believe the lies that you tell yourself. Yeah, like you think having multiple relationships makes you the man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
not the
yeah,
biggest
yeah,
crap of
yeah,
stuff I ever heard in my life. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like
yeah.
then you start faking arguments just to get out of the house. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So like
oh, yeah. You talking
it's,
about it now?
stupid stuff like that. You know what I mean? So like when you talk about making a list, you got to think about the emotional harm that you did to others. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm, mm.
like people who was really pouring into you, and just because you had that wall up, you wasn't gonna let them, let
Woo.
let them in. You know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
we said everything and anything, and how they say, sticks and stones may break my bones. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But those words, man, like, whew, words could
Mm.
be the tongue is a powerful tool, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
sometimes when we say stuff, we can't take it back. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I said, we only can ask God to forgive us. But, like I said, being that person who thought they was the man, and, that pride, and,
Mm-hmm.
like, you can't do it better than me. And,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
was a tough pill to swallow, man. You know what I'm saying? So, like,
Facts. Facts. Facts.
I just thank God, like I said, I thank God every day, man.
All praise to the Most High, man. Good one. It says,
Such gross misbehavior.
such gross misbehavior is not by any means full of catalog of the harms we do. Let us think of some of the subtler ones which can sometimes be quite as damaging. Suppose that in our family lives we begin to be miserably irresponsible, callous, or cold. Suppose that we are irritable, critical, impatient, and humorless. Suppose we lavish attention upon one member of the family and neglect the others. What happens when we
Mm,
try to dominate the whole family, either by the rule of iron or by a constant outpouring of minute directions on just how their lives should be lived from hour to hour? What happens when we wallow in depression, self pity oozing from every pore and inflict upon those above us? Such a roster of harms done others is the kind that make daily living with us practicing alcoholics difficult and often unbearable, could be extended almost indefinitely. When we take such personality traits as these into shop, office, and the society of our fellows, they can do damage almost as extensively as we have caused at home. Man, I'm definitely guilty of that, man. And going through that situation in the last marriage I was in, man, and just towards the end as we got closer and closer to trial, man, I just locked myself in the basement every day, man, and I just was so scared, so I was super neglectful. Like I wasn't trying to go nowhere. I wasn't trying to do nothing. Then I just started like looking forward to that. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So that part of being the self pity, the oozing, the
Mm-hmm.
that's what that alcohol do to you. It turn on you, man.
Yeah,
That once that joker turned on you and it got the grips on you, man, it's like
I got you in a
that joint
headlock.
like a yeah, man, that joint like a gorilla. But then I
Mm-hmm.
was looking forward to it every day.
Yeah.
Like, come get me, Mr. Gorilla. You know what I mean? Like looking forward to it, like the misery of it, man. And it's shocking. So they definitely hit it on the head when they was talking about the self pity, the depression, being angry, being short tempered, all of those traits. And I was so sick in the head that it seemed like it was cool, like it was okay. I could
Right.
rationalize any of that stuff that I was doing wrong, and that's where the deception coming at, the delusion, man, of you really rationalizing this behavior like it's nothing wrong with it. And until you get sober and then you step away and look back at it, that's the
Mm-hmm.
only time you can say, really admit that you was doing wrong. Because during this time when somebody's saying that to you, man, you're gonna
Yeah.
be telling them they crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This what I do around here, and blah, 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 blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah. You know how it go, bro. You know what I'm saying? What you got for that?
I mean, that self pity is for real. You know what I mean? Like, what do we
Mm-hmm.
learn as young kids? We learn when we not supposed to touch something. You know, our parents told us no. You know what I mean? If
Mm-hmm.
the stove was on and you touched the stove, you knew you was going to get burned, right? But
Mm-hmm.
still, in all, you still knew that you had to try that one time. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
knew what was
Mm-hmm.
going to happen. You was going to touch it and you was going to get burned. So imagine being an
Mm-hmm.
alcoholic every day. You know that alcohol is going to give you this feeling of, you know, escape. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
While you're escaping, the alcohol is punching you in the face. You know what I'm saying? So like you'll rather escape so bad and get away from anything that you're going through that you enjoy getting punched in the face. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it doesn't take away truly take away the pain because you know you just
Mm.
become numb to the pain. So now that's what starts your addiction. You know what I'm saying? Like because
Mm.
if I keep sticking my hand in the fire and I keep getting burned, I mean, what's going to happen? I'm enjoying it. The only way I'm gonna be able to not enjoy it if somebody cut my hand off. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah,
the whole
that's
thing.
deep.
You know what I mean? Like in that
That's
recovery
deep.
part, you know, that's you got to cut off. You got to cut off a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Got cut off a lot of places and a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's a behavior. You know what I mean? Whether we want
Mm.
to admit it or not, you know, being an
100%
alcoholic,
it's a behavior.
it's a habit. You know what I mean? So, like we said, we feel depressed about work, finances, relationships, children. We drink. You know what I mean? We get a better job. We get more money. We have a kid. We get married. We drink. You know what I'm saying? It just becomes
Facts, facts.
what are we drinking for is a question, and then the other question is why aren't we drinking for? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
and that's
facts,
the
facts,
community
facts.
and that's the culture that we were born and raised in. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I always like when Christians go back to the Bible and say, "Oh well, Jesus drunk wine and this and that," and I'm like, "Hey, God bless you." You know what I'm saying? But you know,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I ain't even going front. At this particular time, I don't even take communion.
Mm.
You know,
Wow. Wow.
I just won't
Indeed.
do it. So
Indeed. I'm gonna just finish these last couple joints. Having carefully surveyed this whole area of human relations and having decided exactly what personal traits in us injured and disturbed others, we can now commence to ransack memory for the people to whom we have given offense. To put a finger on nearby and most deeply damaged ones shouldn't be hard to do. Then, a year by year, we walk back through our lives as far as memory we will reach, and we should be bound to construct a long list of people who have, to some extent or other, been affected. We should, of course, ponder and weigh each instance carefully. We shall want to hold ourselves to the course of omitting the things we have done. Meanwhile, forgiving the wrongs done to us, real and fancy. We should avoid extreme judgments, both of ourselves and of others involved. We must not exaggerate our defects or theirs. A quiet, objective view will be our steadfast aim. Whenever our pencils falter, we can fortify and cheer ourselves by remembering what AA experience in this step has meant to others. It is the beginning of the end of isolation from our fellows and from God. Bro, I just look at this and say, like, in closing, like, if I was never an alcoholic and I was never did these steps, I would have never even thought about doing this kind of stuff, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think once you in it for mad years, sometimes we take this for granted. You know what I mean? But most people don't make a list of everybody they had harmed in their life and go to them people and apologize. You get what I'm saying? Like, just think about that. Like, most people don't do that, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I like to thank the Most High for giving me that gift of desperation where I had to do this in order for me to not kill myself from alcoholism. Like, I had to do this. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So that's what I got in closing for this joint, man.
Okay. I mean, for me, step 8 is about honesty. It's recognizing the people who harmed us through our actions, our attitudes, and addiction, while becoming willing to make things right. It teaches accountability, humility, and compassion by helping us face the damage caused to our family, our friends, our wives, current and ex. You know what I'm saying?
You did it, dope. This sound like a speech. You're doing good, huh?
It feels crazy, man. But this step, it prepares. This step 8 really prepares you for the healing that you're going to go through. You know
100%.
Because in order to heal, you got to forgive, and in order to forgive, you got to be willing to work on that forgiveness. You know what I mean? So, like, step 8, we talk about personal growth. You know what I mean? We talk about replacing that guilt. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Like, just in this step, the whole weight of the world comes off your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and but you got to be. We always talk about this. I remember I picked up the phone and I called you, and I was like, "Yo, man, I got a cousin that's going through it." And the first thing you said is like, "Yo, is he serious?"
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing in step 8. You know what I mean? Like, when you make amends with all these people, you really got to be serious about how you make amends. It got to come from the heart. You got to be willing to work on, you know, where do I go? Because everybody I made amends with don't necessarily mean that I'm still going to be cool with you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%. Yeah, you're just cleaning your side of the street.
Yeah. So, like, part of, you know, like I said, when I clean my side of the street, you know, I left some trash cans on that side, and then I threw some trash cans away. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's it. You know what I mean? So, like, excuse me, the trash cans that's still on my side of the street, those are the people that I deal with on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't need a big garbage truck now. You know what I mean? Because I'm serious. You know what I mean? Like, hey, my garbage can, my list then went from 2,000 to 25. You know what I mean? So, like, it is what it is.
So next week, we're gonna talk about these amends. Talk about some specific ones. I know I'm gonna be ready to talk about some. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Some of the harder ones, some of the easier ones. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna pray us out. Abba Yah, the Most High Father. Thank you for bringing us on here tonight. If it's your will, have this message touch somebody out there that could bring them closer to you or closer to sobriety. Let them know, Father, if they need any help, they can inbox any of us, both of us that's on this phone tonight, Father, to get some help with drugs, alcohol, gambling, sex addiction, anything, Father. We're here to help them. All these blessings we ask in your Son, Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, brother. Tell the wife, man. I said thanks for allowing me to keep you for 49 minutes.
That's a good timing. Good timing. The Knicks don't play tonight, so we good, man.
Man, I hope y'all finally win, because I'm tired. Like y'all deserve one. I'm
I don't
really
know. To
tired.
be honest, bro, I tell people like this: OKC is they serious, man. They
I
play
ain't watched
bully.
basketball this so
They,
long.
they
I
play
got to check
bully
it out.
ball, man. They remind me of
Uh,
one of them old Jersey City Boys Club teams, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like
indeed, indeed,
that's
indeed,
crazy. But
indeed,
I holler at you.
indeed. All right, good brother.
All
All
right,
right.
bet.
All right. Another week of Soberhead podcast. Next week, we're gonna move to step 9. Once we finish this, then I'll be back on from pain to purpose. So this is Mike. Enjoy the rest of your night. Shalom.